Hello, welcome to the weather update. It's 9:30 on August 18th, 2021. A lot going on. We have remnants of Fred, which are moving off to our west. We have Hurricane Grace, and we have Tropical Storm Henri, which is shortly going to probably become a hurricane. And Henri is the one, like I said yesterday, we've got to watch out. And I saw some models earlier today, and it was really disturbing, and we're going to go over that. But first, let's talk about Grace. I guess we'll start with Grace here. We'll go to the latest advisory on Grace. And the latest public advisory on Hurricane Grace, because now it is a hurricane. Grace is expected to bring strong winds and a dangerous storm surge to portions of the eastern Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Air Force Reserve and NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft currently investigating the hurricane. As of 8 p.m., its location is 19.8 north, 84.9 west, about 170 miles east of Tulum, Mexico. Maximum sustained winds are 80 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. The minimum central pressure is 989 millibars. This movement is expected to continue, and it's going to be making a landfall in the eastern Yucatan Peninsula tomorrow morning, move over the Yucatan Peninsula tomorrow, and then move over the southwestern Gulf of Mexico Thursday night into early Friday. Maximum sustained winds are near 80 miles an hour. Some strengthening is possible before it makes a landfall in the Yucatan, and then it will weaken, but then it will regain its strength once it moves back out over the southwestern Gulf on Mexico on Friday. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 15 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 140 miles from the center. NOAA buoy 40256, located west of the center, reported a sustained wind of 45 miles an hour and a wind gust of 51. So this is not going to pose a danger to the United States, but it is going to be a big problem for the Yucatan. And let's go now look at the cone map here, and you will see that it's going to. You've got the hurricane warnings now in effect for the Yucatan. Tropical storm warnings outside of where the hurricane force winds will be. And that the lee side or the west side of the Yucatan has tropical storm warnings, and then it moves out and it will impact. You can see there's a big blocking route. We're going to get into all this when we talk about the forecast. Let's now go and look at what Grace looks like on the satellite, and it looks pretty impressive. So let's see what we got right here, and this is the infrared satellite that we are loading right now. Of course, it's going to load a little slower due to all this demand on the servers, but you can see there it is, and it seems to like jump around a little bit. I would like to, saying GOES data is running behind images may be delayed. Okay, let's go look at a different type of, I want to look at the visible actually. Let's do the visible high res. You can sort of see it before the sun goes down here and gets dark. You'll be able to see the convection popping up before the frame goes dark, and that is the sign of a strengthening storm right there. And we will look at this on the MODIS too as well. Let's go now look at the you can see track's pretty much going to stay well to the south because there's a very strong blocking ridge that's not going to allow it to move north. And then when we look at the intensity guidance, you'll see it could strengthen up to a Category 2 or maintain Category 1 and then weaken. But this is out to 72 hours. It doesn't really weaken all that much. And we'll have to see what happens again because once it crosses over, it gets over the Yucatan, it's going to be weakened, but I think it's going to regain its strength once it gets out over the water. But this is not the storm I want to spend too much time on because it's not going to affect our country, unfortunately. It will be affecting Mexico. Let's now go to the next one, which is, I'm not going to talk too much about the remnants of Fred. We'll talk about that a little later. But now let's go to the real elephant in the room, which is Tropical Storm Henri. Not Henry. It's Henri. I think the H is silent. And let's read the latest public advisory for Henri. Henri is almost a hurricane. Interests in the northeastern U.S. should monitor its progress. There you go right there. As of 5 p.m., its location, 29.9 north, 67.6 west, about 235 miles west, 235 miles southwest of Bermuda, about 790 miles south of Nantucket, Massachusetts. Maximum sustained wind 70 miles an hour, moving west at 9 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure 995 millibars or 29.39 inches. This is they're saying little strange in strength, but I think they are thinking Henri is expected to become a hurricane on Friday, but it could become a hurricane tomorrow. We always underestimate the strength of these storms because the models just don't have a handle on those warmer water temperatures, and the extent of the tropical storm force winds is 80 miles an hour, 80 miles from the center. All right, and you're going to see swells generating, and we're going to be starting to see those swells as well. This is going to be a really intense storm, and now let's go look at the warning cone, and you can see, look at that. We are in the cone of uncertainty, folks. Long Island is in the cone of uncertainty as well as much of New England. For New Jersey, so far not. You can see the issue. It's heading west, and then it's going to make that turn, and then it's going to get blocked and kind of try to recurve toward the coast. This track has been adjusted westward, so we may start to see hurricane watches and tropical storm watches possibly start to be issued as we head toward Friday or even tomorrow, perhaps. We're going to have to keep an eye on this one for sure. I'm going to get to the models because that is a big concern. And then we have the remnants of Fred, which is just a bunch of rain. And here it is, though. This is heavy rain, by the way, that is currently off to our eastern Pennsylvania. And I believe it is moving toward the northeast, so we may not see a lot of this. Yeah, it's got a northeast to southwest to northeast movement, which means most of that heavy rain is not going to be hitting us. But there could be some pretty heavy thunderstorms in there, perhaps. We can look and see how much lightning there is and see if there is a decent amount of lightning with these. I'm not sure if there are any warnings out for these, but we will go to the weather and hazards map next and look at that along with our current conditions. And you can see, yeah, we do have a tornado watch actually in effect just because you have the energy of rotation from the storm. And it looks like some severe thunderstorm and flash flood warnings as well and because of that heavy rain. But that's not going to be affecting us. But what you can see is the strong southeasterly flow across our area, especially picking up tonight. And those dew points have really come up, and it's gotten really humid out there. You can see those dew points are up into the mid-70s now, and you can feel it. And even on the South Shore, the humidity was really thick. Dew point is 76 there in Wansaw right now. And Farmingdale reporting a dew point of 73. Carl Place reporting a dew point of 75. Temperatures are in the mid-70s. Didn't really get that warm today because we had plenty of cloud cover, but just a very muggy, murky day across the area with this tropical air. And this is all the warm air that is coming up associated with the remnants of Fred. This is real deep tropical air, and you're going to see those dew points way up there. And you can see it's quite uncomfortable. Let's go look at our high temperatures for the day, and you'll see again that load this up here. And we'll get back to Henri in a moment, all right? I just want to get this out of the way first. Henri, I'm sorry. So 83 was your high in Carl Place, 81 at Farmingdale, 81 at Islip. Probably hotter in Jersey. Let's see if it was hotter in Jersey. Probably a little hotter in Jersey. Let's see what it was there. We can. If it'll show up. Oh, yeah, a lot hotter. 86 in downtown Toms River, 87 in Lakehurst. So significantly hotter. Again, the wind going more over the land for them, and they were getting more into the heat and dealing with it for sure. And it was pretty uncomfortable there as well. We can actually look at we can look at Lakehurst. Let's go look at that. Now I got to move this back over here and show you how brutal it was in Lakehurst. All right, so 80 degrees is the current temperature, dew point 75. So that's the kind of humidity you're dealing with there. It's quite oppressive. And again, this is that tropical air that we're dealing with now. Looking at the satellite, you can see here are the remnants of Fred. And I know it looks like it's moving toward us, but at the surface, it's moving more southwest to northeast. But you can definitely see that convection popping. So now, speaking of satellite imagery, let me go back to tropical tidbits and let's go look at Henri. All right, so let's look at a satellite image. Oh, do not tell me we don't have a satellite image of Henri. Oh, here we go. It looks pretty good. It looks like it's really, you can see it's drifting. It's just drifting really slowly. You can see really it's got good outflow because you got that ridge overhead. Not a whole lot of shear, and this thing is going to continue to strengthen and possibly head our way. We're going to be looking at the models here in a moment. Let me look at this on the visible. Hopefully we'll still have a visible on it. Yep, we do. And you can sort of see that convection again. in that last frame before the sun goes down. You can sort of see that convection popping around the center. That's definitely a strengthening storm. So looking at all these storms here, we'll look at the high resolution MODIS satellite now, and you can see not really a visible eye and Grace, nor is, well, Henri, actually, look at that. I'm actually starting to see an eye develop right there. So this thing is in a really favorable spot. I mean, the waters are real warm. Water temperatures in the 80s. Not a lot of wind shear. Here is Fred over here, the remnants of Fred. There's the smoke. Look at that. All that smoke. Look at that. That's from California, folks. That's the smoke that's going over Newfoundland. And it's all coming from these fires out here. And they have really gotten very much out of control over California. A number of fires have broken out over California, and because they have a strong offshore wind and lower humidities, which has stirred up these fires. No rain, and these fires just continue to burn. Look at all that smoke. I mean, this is like a world coming to an end, folks, kind of satellite view. I mean, you can see, just look at the madness you have on this satellite view. And there's another storm over here, too, by the way. I forgot, that's one of the Pacific storms, and that thing looks really strong right there. That's another storm, and that would have to be, let me go look at that. That would have to be, go to NHC again, which I have NHC open already. But this would be the Pacific, so this would be the Eastern Pacific, and this would be Linda. And Linda, max sustained winds 100 miles an hour. So this is out in the Pacific. All right, I don't have to pay attention in the Atlantic right now, but you can see it's just chaotic. It's really chaotic. So let's go. All right, so we got the MODIS. Let's go back to looking at Henri here. This is Henri right here, looking pretty well organized there. And like I said, favorable conditions. We've already gone over the water temperatures already. We can do it again. Looking at the water temperatures here, you can see it on here showing up too as well. But again, if you those sea surface temperature anomalies, we'll just show you sea surface temperature anomalies here. Ocean sea surface temperature anomaly. You can see above normal waters. So that's fuel for the storm right there, and they're above normal. I mean, you have water temperatures that are above 80. We talked about this yesterday, especially in this area right here, that are this is like 7 degrees above normal. And if you look at the actual temperature here, it's almost 80 degrees in this spot here. So if Henri, which we'll draw right here, and of course, now my extension's missing again. I don't know what's going on with Google and the extensions disappearing on me, but this seems to be a problem now that I'm having with the paint extensions disappearing. So why do you keep disappearing? Why do you keep turning off, and then I've got to put you back on again? It's ridiculous. And of course, here it is. So I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's really annoying. But anyway, we'll draw that. Yeah, we'll keep the purple. But the problem is, if the track of Henri, which is somewhere over here, stays like this, stays over the warm water, and then hits the ridge, and then curves back toward us, this is the worst case scenario for us. All right? And that's exactly what some of the models were showing, unfortunately. So let me go back to the tropical tidbit site, and you'll see here what's going on is some of them bring them pretty close to Long Island. Pretty close. Uncomfortably close. All right? This was as a 0Z August 19th. All right? We're going to look at a couple of the models. At least I don't see it going directly over Long Island, but that potential's still there. Oh, I pray it doesn't, because this could be a major disaster that's going to make Sandy look like child's play. You see, this thing is going to go up to a Cat 2, if not a Cat 3, and it's going to stay there for a while with those warm waters. All right, so now let's go to the models, and I'll show you what's going to be happening here and why things are happening the way they are. And I guess we're going to first start with the upper air pattern. So let's do the upper air, and we'll start with the jet stream first. And you can see that ridge, that huge ridge over here. And that huge ridge, this huge ridge right here that you see, I'll draw that in red. This huge ridge, upper ridge right here, this huge thing, it's huge, is forcing Grace. It's forcing Grace due west over the Yucatan. This is Henri right here, and it's also forcing Henri due west as well. But let's move things along. You're going to see what happens here when I move things along. So this upper ridge, there's a little bit of a weakness here that's going to develop. And this is going to help pull Henri northward. All right? So this is the weakness right here that's going to pull Henri northward. And you can see so far, it looks like this one is keeping it away from Long Island. All right, this run is keeping it away from Long Island. But if we were to look at the other run from this morning, I think it was the 12Z. Yeah, this is the one that takes it a little closer. You can see we've got to watch this because this flow is almost southerly to pull it right into our area. And if this ridge is a little stronger, then it gets pulled further west. So you can see what's going on here. And this is very disturbing to see. This is the kind of exact setup that gave us Sandy. So when you have this kind of setup in the atmosphere, you've got to be really careful. I mean, if there's something there, it's going to come very close to us, if not impact us. And this is the kind of setup that scares me. It scares me. It really does. So let's go and look at the upper air here on the GFS. So, and there's Henri right there. So again, you see that little bit of weakness there. It's going to pull it a little bit in, and this is the 12Z run that we're looking at here, right? So you can see here, there's that ridge. So the next run at 18Z weakens that ridge just a little bit, changes things a little bit, so it goes a little further to the east. But this is still very close. If it goes east of Montauk, it's still going to have impacts on Long Island. A lot of beach erosion on the South Shore, and the Cape is really going to get it really bad. So this is the latest run on the GFS. All right, so now that you're seeing that, let me go and move this a little more to the eastern U.S. view. All right, and you can see here what happened. So this run, if we go back to that, it was that 06Z run last night that really had me scared because look at what it did. All right, went right over Montauk. All right, you can see certain things have changed. It's backed off a little bit on the strength of that ridge, but it could go back the other way, and that's the concern that we have. I am praying, please. I don't want this thing hitting. All right, I don't want it hitting. I know it's going to happen eventually. I just don't want to hit this year, because if this were to take that track, goodbye Napier, goodbye Fire Island, a lot of the places I'd like to get to, and goodbye. Well, that track would probably spare the South Shore the worst, but if it went further west and made a landfall like where Sandy hit, that would be a really bad disaster, and it will eventually happen. So now we're going to take a closer look at our area here and take a look at some of these models here, and let's go to the surface model here. Here we go. Come on. There you go. All right. And actually, I want to pull this out a little bit. It's Eastern U.S. You get an idea. So there's Henri right here. This is the latest GFS, 18Z. All right. So you see it makes that turn when that little weakness comes and pulls it northward. So otherwise, if that ridge stayed, it would just go right into Florida probably, or into South Carolina, but it's going to go around the ridge and into that weakness. All right. Now this track takes it almost gives Cape Cod a nearly direct hit. All right. So this would be a lot worse for Cape Cod than for us on Long Island if this current scenario were to come out. But then if we look at the run from this morning, the 12Z, you could see it's a lot closer, and what's really scary about this run is the blocking is so strong it actually moves from east to west along Long Island and right over central Suffolk, and then this would be a major disaster with this track. A major disaster. So this is why we have to watch it. This is what a difference a run makes, 18Z, but it could just as easily go back to the other way. And I'm just looking at one model here, the GFS. All right, because now I'm going to start looking at some other models when it comes to this. All right, let me go to the NAM 12, and I don't know if the NAM 12 is going to take us far enough out. Probably not, but we'll go ahead and see what the NAM does with this thing. So here's the NAM 12, and the NAM for some reason is a lot weaker. It has a lot more shearing, and it may be overestimating that, but look at what the NAM does. And look at the track of the NAM. takes it very close to Montauk. So this track close to the shore, it's not going to go out to sea. That's looking less and less likely. It's going to make an impact somewhere along the northeast. And that is the NAMS. The NAMS a lot weaker with the storm, which I'm not buying. Not with those water temperatures. The HRRR I can't use. That doesn't go far enough out. I mean, we could use it, but it's not going to go far enough out. We have the zeros, the HRRR that we can look at as well to show you, but it's not really going to go far enough out to really... The HRRR also doesn't seem to want to strengthen this thing. It seems to want to keep it a little weaker. But again, I don't know why. It's generating some shear that I don't know if it's going to be there. I really don't know if that's going to really be there or not. We can also look at the ICON model as well, which is similar to the European model. And you can see here that the ICON does something. This is what the ICON's been doing, trying to take it east and then ramming it back westward over the Cape, having to do a loop-to-loop on Sunday and then having to go out to sea. But most of the models have some sort of impact with this thing. All right. And I want to take a now closer look at our area, and we're going to now go back to the GFS and look at the wind speeds that this thing generates as it moves closer to our area. So I'm going to do this, and we'll show you as it moves closer. So you can see the kind of wind speed. It's a little weaker than it was in the last run. It has maybe a Category 1 or strong tropical storm. But if we go to the run before it, it was tremendously stronger. This was the 12Z run from this morning. And again, this was the run that really scares me because, again, look at what it does. So here we are Sunday morning, all right? It starts in the east end of Long Island, and the eye would make landfall somewhere over maybe Southampton or West Hampton, all right? And the east end would definitely get into those hurricane force winds. It's possible Nassau, because we're on the west side, would probably be spared the worst in this type of situation. But then it goes right over and then it sits there. It takes its sweet time. So even though it's weakening, it's lashing us, and then it moves away. So this would be a very, very bad scenario for us. It would probably give us a lot of rain, but it would also give us a lot of wind. It would be a lot of power outages all over again. It would make what we dealt with Isaias look like nothing. It would be as bad, almost as bad as Sandy with the power outages, particularly on the east end. And if you look total accumulated precip, it also bring a lot of rain too, obviously, over 3 inches. So you have that freshwater flooding on top of the saltwater flooding that would occur. And it would be very bad on the south shore of the east end. Would really get hit hard. And that kind of scenario would probably put that whole stretch of Napiog underwater completely. So that's what happened to the Hurricane at 38. Is that whole stretch, Hurricane at 38, if that happened today, and it happened in 1938, so you know it's going to happen again. That really caused a lot of damage, but there wasn't nearly as much development as there is now. So let me go to the NAM here, NAM 12, and we'll go ahead and look at the 18Z NAM. Now the NAM's a lot weaker with the winds. And again, I have to go to the 18Z. Am I on the right one here, or am I on the wrong one? Yeah, I am on the right one. So this is the 18Z. And it's a lot weaker than NAM, but I'm not buying this weakness. Not with those water temperatures. I am not buying it. The storm is stronger than modeled already, all right? So these models are always underestimating the strength of these storms, all right? So the next thing that we would have to do, and I'm going to go back to the GFS here. The 18Z GFS. All right, so this is again the 18Z, the most current one we have, and it spares Long Island the worst, but the Cape would probably be dealing with some bad conditions. All right, but one thing that we will not be spared from is the wave. So if we go to the wave height, you can see here the wave height is definitely going to be up there for the south shore of Long Island. As the storm approaches, it's going to have a storm surge with it. Even if it doesn't hit us directly, we're going to have indirect effects, and that storm surge is going to cause some significant flooding and beach erosion on the south shore. And this is, again, the current one. But if we go to the one from 12Z this morning, this is a lot scarier because that purple area comes awfully close to Long Island. And that is a very, very, very worrying to see this. And this run just, like I said, scares me. It really does scare me. And, you know, we still have days. But just prepare that we may be seeing a major natural disaster in our area. Just prepare. Make sure you have enough water. Make sure you're ready to be without power. Make sure you secure stuff, and especially if you're on the east end, just be prepared for a hurricane to hit. Doesn't mean it's going to hit, but you need to be prepared in case it does, all right? Because Sunday is not that far away now, all right? So let me shift gears a little bit. We'll look at our temperatures. I'm going to go to the HRRR model, and we'll start looking at our temperatures and also our precipitation chances. So we'll start in for Thursday, and tomorrow will be a little warmer with that westerly wind. We're going to see some 80s, maybe some temperatures near 90. It's definitely be hotter than today. And it's going to feel every bit as hotter than today. And then for Friday, 80s again. All right. And the humidity will be with us. So if I look at the humidity here on this HRRR, you'll see the dew points might come down a little bit. You can see the wind staying southwesterly. So that means sea breeze at least. But then it goes a little more westerly as you head into tomorrow night and Friday. That will bring the dew points down slightly. On Friday, you can see the dew points dropping actually into the mid-60s. So we'll have lower dew points. But with that west wind, it's going to probably feel be hotter with less of a sea breeze. And the humidity is not going to be all that low. If we look at the GFS here, we will go ahead and look at the humidity here. And you'll see that humidity start to come down with the west winds. Probably on the backside of the remnants of Fred. It might try to bring some drier air in. And then for Saturday, as we go in here, you'll see that as the winds go east, the dew points rise. But the dew points aren't going anywhere. And then we have the north winds coming through. This would be the center of Henri. That's going over Cape, right? And you can see no end in sight to the humidity. I'm only going to go as far as Wednesday. Looks like something might try to come down from the north toward the end of the period, but the GFS has been doing that constantly. And honestly, we've got enough to deal with right now with Henri, and I'm not going to really focus too much on this with the temperatures. It's not going to be like obscene heat, but it's going to be a little uncomfortable out there. And here is Saturday again, and Sunday and Monday, and with the worst case scenario, which we will go back to as well. And then after Henri, at least on this run, things heat up again next week. We're going to deal with those 90s again next week for a lot of the week. But let's now go look at that 12Z run, because I want to see that 12Z run, what it does for temperatures next week behind Henri. So with this track, obviously it won't be hot on Monday, but the worst case scenario is it leaves us without power, and then we're dealing with heat for Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's not something I can deal with here. If that happens, I will have to stay in a hotel somewhere, because I can't deal with that if that happens. You can see we could be in the 90s. So this would be a really bad scenario. God, I pray it doesn't happen. Look, at least Sandy hit in October when it wasn't hot, you know. So if we do get the hurricane this year, please let it wait until it's cooler, because being without power and having no air, this place will be inhospitable. I will not be able to stay here. It will be inhospitable for me. There's absolutely no way. So let's go and go back to the HRRR and look at our precipitation chances. And then we got to go to cloud cover and all that other stuff. So let me go to the HRRR, look at precipitation chances. So here's the remnants of Fred. And you can see the remnants of Fred mostly go to our north. There's going to be some heavy rain. And you can definitely clearly see the center of low pressure that was Fred. And like I said, there could be a chance of a shower, but like I said, it doesn't look that widespread. And then tomorrow, this is tomorrow actually. So tomorrow, probably not a big chance of rain. Just a scattered shower too. Friday, we have this other piece of energy that may bring us some chances of showers. That will have to keep in chances of showers and thunderstorms that we'd have to keep our eye on. All right. Now I'll go to the sky cover now, and we'll look at the sky cover. Although I think you get the idea. We're gonna have plenty of clouds around. Nice blue skies. That I don't know when that's happening. So here's tomorrow on the NAM sky cover, and you can see plenty of clouds around. Maybe a few breaks in the afternoon. Here's Friday, and like I said, maybe partly sunny conditions, but there'll be clouds. It won't be great. It won't be great weather to be outside at all. And I could go to the RGM model too. Go to the RGM here. Come on. RGM. You see plenty of clouds for tomorrow, and also plenty of clouds for tomorrow here. Maybe some breaks in the afternoon. There might be some breaks. Friday, more likely, maybe you'll have some breaks. But as far as getting a nice sky, and there, look at that. You can clearly see Henri the cloud signature of Henri on there, which is incredible. Right, this is the R gem, all right? And if we go to the R gem, which is really just part of the Canadian model, if we go to the precipitation thing, so we can take a look and see what it does with Henri, which it doesn't really go far enough out, but the R gem is just type of a Canadian model, so the Canadian, I don't know, it looks completely different, but this also seems to do that like loop-to-loop, but it does it in the Gulf of Maine. So there's still a lot of disagreement, a lot of issues going on. And we're going to look at a few more. I'm not done yet. We're going to now go to windy.com, and we'll also be tracking Henri on windy.com. And I'll go to the wind gust. Now, this is the European model that we will be looking at here. And I have a feeling the European is going to probably be in line with the Icon model. And for whatever reason, yeah, it still just dissipates it. I don't know. That would be lovely. I would love to see it just go away, but I don't see that happening. I really don't. And here, again, is Grace. Honestly, the European has kind of underestimated this. Let's see. I think it's underestimated it a little bit. You can see where it tracks over the Yucatan, then back into the Gulf, and then it's going to pick up even more strength once it gets on the other side of the Gulf. And then you're going to see this thing really ramp up in that. There's very warm waters here, so the conditions going to be very good for that. And it's going to slow down, and then it makes it second. Oh, this could be really bad. So this is the European. This thing has it getting up to maybe Cat 3 or Cat 4 when it makes a landfall here in Mexico, which would be very bad. And this is the European model. Let me change this over to the GFS. So you can take a look at Grace and what it does. Now we're looking at the wind gusts, but this is more likely the maximum winds that you're going to get out of it. And the same strengthening is being shown on the GFS, though not to the same degree that the Euro is strengthening this one. And you can see, again, there it's making that landfall in that Rio Poza Rica de Hidalgo area. So that's an area that's going to have to be watched. But again, it's all about Henri right now. And this is Henri here that we're looking at here on the GFS on the windy.com site. So you can see what it does as it moves northward. And you can see it really, now this is the current run, so this is not the one, I don't think this is the run that's going to take it right into us. But you can see this is, I don't know if I could switch to the current run on this, but you could see here, this would be a pretty strong tropical storm to a hurricane when it would impact the Cape here. And again, with those warmer waters, I think it'll be stronger than that. But with this track, at least, the only area of Long Island that gets to deal with some strong winds would be the East End with this track. But the waves, that's the other issue. Now the waves, let's see, we do get the waves in the GFS. You can get an idea of the kind of waves this thing is going to kick up. So as we get toward the weekend, you'll start feeling those waves here offshore. And as you get to Sunday morning, you can see you're going to have some possibly 10-foot waves coming in, but in the middle of the storm, you're going to have waves over 20 feet. So imagine those kind of waves. Now, if we shift the track west, what could happen? There's also swell models too that show swells, which you can see here. Swells, swell 1, swell 2. I don't know, the different models here that show that. And again, these are all through with the GFS, all right, because we are using the GFS. The Euro just doesn't pick up on this at all for whatever reason. But this is the swell, and you're going to have some pretty bad swells here. Nantucket is going to these islands could be inundated. They're pretty flat. So for the Cape, it would still be very bad situation, but a little less bad for us. But if it moves further to the west, it's going to be very bad for us. And again, if we look at the sea temperature here, you'll see here these water temperatures. Yeah, 77 degrees. I'm showing you the warm water that this thing is going to be over here. 85. So 80 warm waters. It's really fuel for a storm, and when the waters are above normal, it gives these storms fuel. But the questions still remain: the troughing, the ridge, the placement of the winds, and all that other stuff. But the GFS has been remarkably good, so I take the GFS very seriously. It has done a good job, more than any of the other models the past couple of years when it comes to these tropical systems. And if we go and we look at, I wish I could look at the older run from this morning, but I guess I can't. This is, I guess we cannot look at the older run. I don't know how to do that, but we'll keep an eye on this storm. Henri is definitely the one to watch. I said that last night. And we'll just look at a few more satellite images here. Let's see if we can get storms. Let's see. Yeah, here we go, Henri. Actually, can use this here. And this actually shows, yeah, this is good. I like this one. This is really nice. So you get a chance to look at that. That's a healthy storm right there. All right. So that is a healthy storm. So I'm glad they got some floaters that we can look at these things for. Let's go look at Grace as well on this. And you can see here, it basically follows the storm as it moves along. You can see Grace is also in good shape as it starts heading toward the Yucatan. And then we'll go to look at these fires out west, too. Go ahead and look at that. So we got all these natural disasters taking place, all due to climate change. There's California right there. Look at all those fires burning there. Let me get a few more frames here. 36 here. So look at that. That is just unbelievable. So fires in the west and tropical storms and hurricanes in the east, it's going to be a huge. This is the future, folks, that we're dealing with. And this is like end of the world. Look at this. Look at all the smoke that is just inundating California. And then you have another fire that popped right here. Look at that. You have another fire right here. This one right here. Look at that. Another one that popped, it looks like in Washington. So this is just unbelievable what's going on. The fires, the floods, this is like the end of the world. This is part of what's going on. And this is what we need to be talking about. Enough with the virus already. Enough. This is what's going to bring humanity to its knees. Not this stupid virus, which we're all sick of hearing about. This is what's bringing humanity to its knees. Look at all those fires. Look at these tropical systems. It's enough already. Wake up, people. Look and see what's happening to our planet. We are in a state of climate emergency. And it's only going to get worse, much, much, much worse. And I want to just look at the MODIS. Did I get rid of the MODIS? I did, because I wanted to look at it from yesterday. Because these fires, I don't want to forget about that, too. All right? Because these fires out west, this was from today, but let's look at yesterday. This is just incredible. So we may eventually be seeing this smoke in our area, too. But because of the tropical flow, it's actually blocking the smoke from getting into our area. You clearly see the big ridge right here that we are under here. This huge ridge right here. It's a huge ridge. All right. It's just blocking the smoke from coming into us. But we're dealing with all this humidity and these hurricanes. So you just can't win. The safest place to be is probably Iqaluit in the Northwest Territories right now. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up. We've got a lot to watch. I'll keep you posted on all of it. And again, I got to say, just prepare for the worst. Prepare for the worst. And hope for the best. Thanks for watching.